Let's talk science. Tomorrow coming up, we got Lomachenko versus George Kambosos. I think it'll be a fun fight, so y'all will get a fight simulation, and I'll do a breakdown after the fight happens. In the early rounds, Loma is going to be doing what Loma does. He's going to have a slow start with a lot of movement and a lot of just feints to make reads on how Kambosos is responding to when he creeps into range. How is he responding when Loma does his little slips, and how is he reacting to like the feints of punches and stuff like that. And Angle takes so much stuff that Loma does. And Kambosos is going to be attacking him with some decent shots just because Kambosos is pretty fast. And although I do think Kambosos might get countered a few times trying to jump in on it with his own offense rather than letting Loma come to him when Loma tries to jump in. I think Loma might touch him a few times, but those early rounds are going to look pretty much like most Loma fights where opponents don't really bring it to him that much. I think Kambosos is going to try and bring it to him more. So it's going to be pretty competitive early rounds. Then after a while, Loma's going to start subtly upping the work rate, probably around 3-4, maybe even 2, depending on how much Kambosos is giving him to read. Once Loma starts coming over the top of Kambosos' lead shoulder with his jab, that right hand of Loma's, this fight is going to change in its complexion. Kambosos' jab is going to get neutralized. Kambosos isn't going to have too many tools to stop Loma from advancing and taking angles. So Loma's going to start looking like Lomachenko and blasting them with left hands towards probably around round 3 or 4. And Loma's just going to start cooking them basically. And Kambosos is going to have some occasional successful offense. But once we get to around 5, 6, 7, Loma's going to be in his bag, and he's going to be landing almost at will because Kambosos doesn't really have too much head movement, and he doesn't have the best footwork to deal with someone like Loma constantly getting around him and pivoting, making him turn. And I think we will get a vintage Lomachenko performance, maybe not no mas. I'm not sure, although there's a very strong likelihood of a finish compared to more recent fights that Loma's been in. And if he does finish him, it'll be around 9 or 10, maybe 11, but probably around round 9 or 10. And if Kambosos doesn't get stopped, there's going to be a couple of reasons why he wouldn't get stopped. For one, he's finding ways to push Loma back and stop him from advancing. For two, he's moving his head more and just relying on more defensive tools, having a better guard. And for three, he's a dog, right? So he's willing to get beat up and still try and make it to the end of the fight and just not quitting, which I think Kambosos is a dog. I do think Kambosos will try and go to the body, and I think he'll try and come forward because those have been keys when facing Loma. And I think he'll try and counter punch Loma a little bit and try and walk Loma down at times. But when Kambosos does eventually, almost inevitably get hurt, it will likely be in one of two phases, if not both, either the entry or the exit. As he steps in, tries to jump into range, Loma might time him with an uppercut or a hook, and Loma might also catch him as he's leaving range or exiting range with a cross that surprises him, and the cross will kind of buzz him, and then Loma will follow up with some shots that hurt him further. Those are the types of phases where I think if Loma's going to get a finish, it's going to be in either of those two scenarios. Now, why did I choose the things that I chose in the simulation? Predictability and lack of adaptability are going to be crucial breaking points for Kambosos. With someone like Lomachenko, the moment you become stationary with your patterns, the more sedentary you are with your behavior, the more he will run circles around you with his own behavior. Styles make fights. I feel very similar to this fight about how I felt versus Canelo versus Munguia. And to be honest, I should have did a quick record padding prediction there just so I can add some extra wins because it's boxing, so we all pad our records anyways. I should pad my prediction record a little bit. That's kind of what I'm doing here because I think this is going to be quite easy. But for the most part, I want my predictions to be actually somewhat challenging for the most part. So tell me your thoughts. As always, Fight Scientist Immortality. Sarah out.